There's a lot of optimism around Nebraska's roster going into this season. The wide receivers are the best they've been in over a decade. The quarterback play is very much improved. The trenches look like they can finally dominate for the first time in a long time. However, there's a positional group for the Huskers that absolutely nobody talks about. That might just be not only the best on this team, but it could be the best in all of the Big Ten. I'm discussing none other than Nebraska's linebacker core. And we're going to figure out today how good this unit really is using advanced statistics, advanced graphics, film, and so much more. I'm going to go over every single Husker linebacker on this roster, the pros in their game, the cons, my honest expectations for them in 2025, and everything else you need to know. So really quick, this video is loaded with information. I put a lot of work into this one, so please make sure you watch the entire thing because it is nuts. Hit that like button if you're fired up. And also, if you're a diehard Nebraska fan and you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Now is the time. If you enjoy daily Husker content, breaking news, recruiting updates, stuff just like this is the place for you. Please hit that subscribe button. It would help me out a lot. Thank you so much. But without further ado, let's get into it. Having a conversation about Nebraska's linebackers going into 2025, in my opinion, the best positional group, not only on this team, but potentially in all of the Big Ten. And this group just doesn't get a lot of hype. Everybody's talking about this wide receiver core. Everybody's talking about Dylan Raiola and his improvements going into his sophomore year. People are talking about the offensive and defensive line. But under the radar, this linebacker core is phenomenal. It's the best we've seen at Nebraska in perhaps 2 decades. It is unbelievable. So with that being said, let's get into the starting lineup for the Huskers. We're going to go over every single player in this group in detail. Now, we're going to start off with, in my opinion, the best linebacker on Nebraska's roster. I'll give you a second. Who do you think it is? Don't overthink it. This is the player who has, in my opinion, the highest potential. He has a lot of good statistics already to his name. Transferred from Oklahoma, none other than Dasan McCollough. Now, this is a guy who, coming out of high school, he was a blue chip recruit, had every offer you can imagine, ended up committing to Indiana because his father was on that coaching staff, had a great true freshman year, then transferred over to Oklahoma. And then at Oklahoma, kind of had an underwhelming 2 years. Last year in 2024, only had 17 total tackles, but really that was not his fault. That was because Oklahoma completely misutilized him. Dasan McCollough is somebody who's 6'5", around 240 pounds. He's a freak athlete. He just jumps off the line of scrimmage. Great speeds, great size. Man, super long arms. Is great at that linebacker spot. But Dasan McCollough, when he was at Oklahoma, they tried to utilize him at safety, at corner. They put him at middle linebacker. That's not really where Dasan McCollough should be played at. He should be played at edge rusher, which is where he was at Indiana when he broke out as a true freshman. So when he transferred to Nebraska this offseason, that was one of the primary reasons he came here, is because he wants to play edge rusher again. So Dasan McCollough, while the stats weren't phenomenal last year, he just wasn't utilized the right way. And he has the potential, if everything goes right with him, to be a future first-round draft pick. Now, he only has 1 year of eligibility remaining. Let's go to the pros and cons in Dasan McCollough's game. Now, the pros are very evident. I mean, you watch him on film, there's a couple things that really just jump out to you. The size is unbelievable. Again, really, really long arms. He's 6'5", he's around 240 pounds, been putting on a lot of good weight. The potential is through the roof. The versatility is great. Again, you can put him all over the field. You can put him in the secondary. You can put him at middle linebacker. You can put him at edge rusher. He has great IQ. Again, he's a son of a coach, so that says a lot. Great athleticism, as you'd expect. Really good coverage skills, arguably the best in pass coverage on this Nebraska football team at that linebacker spot. Great explosiveness on the line of scrimmage. Really solid tackler. Nice swim move to get to the quarterback. So there's a lot of pros in Dasan McCollough's game. The upside is just, again, it's through the roof. He has the highest upside, arguably, on this entire team out of a Nebraska player, not named maybe a Williams Nwaneri and maybe a Ja'Cory Barney. Now, the cons when it comes to Dasan McCollough are also pretty evident, right? In my opinion, he's a jack of all trades, master of none, where you could put him all over the field and he's going to be very, very good, but he's never going to be dominant at one position. And hopefully that can change this year for him at that jack spot, which is his natural position. But just right now, he's a master of none. Can he change the narrative? We will see. Health is a little bit of a concern. He got banged up throughout his career with the Sooners, so hopefully he can play in all 12, 13 games this year for the Big Red. Production is something that, I mean, just objectively, it's been on the decline since the true freshman year at Indiana. Again, that's not really his fault, but 17 tackles last year, just not really going to cut it. And then the block shedding is something that I need to see him continue to improve. Again, especially in that run department, just not very solid in that aspect. So Dasan McCollough, there's a lot of things to like. There's some things he needs to work on, obviously, but he's a very, very good player. And once again, if he lives up to expectations, I see no reason why he can't be a very high NFL draft pick. Now, let's get into my predictions for his statistics in 2025. I expect Dasan McCollough to have 60 total tackles on the year, 7 sacks. Yes, you heard me correctly. 3 passes defended. That's going to earn him an all Big Ten team, whether that's first team, second team, third team, I don't know, but he's going to be on one of them, and then he's going to be a 4th round NFL draft pick. So I don't think Dasan McCollough is going to fully live up to expectations, because if he did, he would be a first rounder. But this is somebody who is by far going to be Nebraska's best pass rusher on this team. He's going to be our best jack by far in this Matt Rule era. He's going to be a huge improvement from MJ Sherman last year, huge improvement from another guy that we're about to talk about in this video. So Dasan McCollough, man, I'm really, really drinking the Kool-Aid when it comes to him. Just freak athlete. If he just lived up to expectations, just a sliver, just a little bit, he's going to be such a good pillar on this linebacker core. But the great thing about this core for Nebraska, this is just the tip of the iceberg. It gets better as we go on. Let's go to the other starters. Starting off with, you already know who arguably, to a lot of people, the best linebacker on this team for the Huskers. Again, it's just so stacked. You can go any which way, but Vincent Shavers, going to his second year, he's going to be our starting weak side linebacker. Listed at 6'1", 225 pounds last year, broke out as a true freshman coming in from Miami, Florida, had 25 total tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble. I mean, this is just somebody who got better as the season progressed. I mean, he played very, very well against Colorado early on. You know, some of those first 6 games was really, really solid, but you rewatch the film from the Wisconsin game, from the Iowa game, and then particularly in the Boston College game, he was on a different level. And this is somebody who has high potential. He is just a stud all over the field. Let's get to the pros and the cons when it comes to Vincent Shavers. Now, the pros are, again, very evident. The high potential is there. Again, coming out of Miami, Florida, you know he's a dog. You know he wants to lay the boom on you. He has aspirations to be a very high NFL draft pick. The tackling is great. The run defense is really, really good. Knows how to shoot through the gap, get the opposing running back. Athleticism is solid. I wouldn't say athleticism is through the roof, but it's very, very good. Again, I put boom on here because, man, he is the hardest hitter in this linebacker core for Nebraska, and just has a really good motor, right? Again, he's going to drive through a couple offensive linemen to get to the running back, to get to the quarterback. And he wants to hurt you, and that's what you want from a guy coming out of Miami. That's what you want in this Nebraska linebacker core. You want somebody who is willing to lay the boom on you, willing to hurt your opposing quarterback or opposing running back. So the cons when it comes to Vincent are just also pretty evident, right? Experience, only has 1 year of experience, so there's still going to be some learning curves for him. He's still going to struggle a little bit in his sophomore year. Coverage is something that was not good last year for Vincent Shavers. I mean, just it really wasn't. He was phenomenal in the running department, but as a coverage linebacker, he leaves a lot to be desired. So I'm not really expecting him to break out a lot in that department. Just something that hopefully can get better throughout his 3 to 4 years here. And then the size just isn't great. He's only 6'1". And then I didn't mention this, but I mean, he's not like the fastest guy in the world. That's not what you're expecting. That's not a huge con of Vincent Shavers, just, kind of limits his upside. So Vincent Shavers, though, I mean, this is somebody who is kind of like a Levante David-esque. Both those guys coming out of Florida, likes to lay the boom on you. And Vincent Shavers is interesting where he's not the highest IQ player. Like, he's never going to be in the right position at the right time necessarily. But, he's always going to find the running back. He's always going to find the player with the ball. Like, he's just never going to read the offense at a high level, but he just knows how to make plays. So you can't really quantify that sometimes. You just need guys who know how to get their helmet on another pad and make a play. And that's the type of guy Vincent Shavers is. So that's what I really, really like about him. Now, when it comes to my prediction for him as a true sophomore, I think he's gonna have another breakout year. I think it's gonna have 70 tackles, 3 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, leaving a little bit to be desired. He's not gonna get on an All Big Ten team. He's not gonna be an All-American, but he's just gonna take a nice step in the right direction. And then going into his true junior year in 2026, likely going to be one of the more hyped up linebackers in the country. So that's a very good year for Vincent Shavers. I'm very bullish on him long term. I just don't know if he's going to take that big jump this year. He's going to take a jump this year. Is it going to be astronomical? Probably not, because this linebacker core is really good. We have a lot of mouths to feed, as you're about to see. Let's get into our last starter at that linebacker core spot. Who do you think it is? There's pretty much 2 guys. It's either going to be Buda Wright. It's going to be Marques Watson Trent at middle linebacker. I think it's going to be the Georgia Southern transfer. Now, this is somebody who, oh my goodness. I mean, just look at the stats. For 3 consecutive years, he had over 100 tackles for Georgia Southern. He was the best player in that conference for the last couple seasons as well. 1 year of eligibility left. He's only 5'11", 225 pounds, but the stats don't lie. The production does not lie. 120 total tackles last year, 1.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. I mean, he's just somebody who makes plays all over the field. Okay, and again, he's not the biggest in the world. He's not the fastest in the world, but he is so incredibly smart. Talking about his pros and cons, the production is the best arguably in the country. The tackling is phenomenal. And once he gets a hand on you, he's going to bring you down. Doesn't matter who you are. He will bring you down. The experience is as good as it gets. The health is as good as it gets. He's been healthy. I don't think he's missed a game in the last 3 years. Consistency is great. Again, you know what you're getting from him every single game. He's not going to, there's players for Nebraska in the past who they'll have a really good game here and there, and then the next game you won't see him. They'll be on a milk carton. That's not going to happen here with Marques, Watson, Trent. The IQ is phenomenal. He's not the biggest or the fastest, but he just knows how to make plays, and the leadership is really good. He's somebody who I expect to potentially be in the mix, get a single digit, and be a true black shirt because his leadership is so phenomenal. And then the only cons are on Marques, Watson, Trent. I think size is obviously not very big. The athleticism isn't very great, so he's not going to be like a first-round pick or anything. And the level of competition, there is a little bit of concern there. I mean, going from Sun Belt football to going to Big Ten, that's a big jump, but I think he's going to thrive. I'm not really worried about that when it comes to Marques, Watson, Trent. So just somebody who knows how to make plays, and that's all you need at the linebacker core. It's nice to have a Terrell Farley. It's nice to have a Levante David type of guy, but if you have somebody who can just rack up tackle after tackle and make plays in the running game. And it should be noted with Marques, Watson, Trent, he's also great in the pass coverage too. I mean, we saw multiple plays last year for Georgia Southern where he was getting his hands on a couple footballs, getting some interceptions, getting some passes defended. So I like his game all over the field. Let's talk about my predictions for him in 2025. I think he's actually going to lead this team in tackles once again. It's not necessarily going to be 100 because, again, we have a lot of mouths to feed, but he's going to have 85 total tackles, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and 2 fumble recoveries, earning him all Big Ten team. I think he'll get drafted probably in the later rounds. I mean, probably 6th or 7th round draft pick, just because I don't know how his game translates to the NFL, but this is somebody who's just, man, I mean, that was arguably Nebraska's most underrated pickup in the transfer portal. Everybody likes to hype up, a guy like Williams Nwaneri, a Dane Key, and Isaiah Hunter. This might be the most crucial when we look back at the year. When we look back on the season in December or January, we say, man, Marques, Watson, Trent, that was phenomenal that we picked him up because he's going to be really, really good for us. So that is the starting lineup for Nebraska. But what's interesting is that the depth is really, really good for the Huskers too. Let's get into our top depth pieces. Now, Willis McGahee is somebody who you guys already know. I really, really love this guy's game. Going into his second year, people really never talk about him. They hype up Vincent Shavers all the time. But Willis McGahee, I think if you were on the field just as much as Shavers last year, he would have been just as good. He's 6'1", about 240 pounds. Of course, he is the son of legendary Miami Hurricanes running back Willis McGahee. He had 13 tackles last year, 1 sack. He led the team in forced fumbles with 2, both of them coming in crucial moments. I believe 1 in the Colorado game, 1 in the Wisconsin game. So Willis McGahee, he's just somebody who, once again, has that athletic upside with his dad, great speed, great athleticism, not really the best size in the world, but man, does he know how to get to the quarterback? Does he know how to explode off the line of scrimmage? I think he's going to take a big step forward this year. He's probably not going to start because we know Dasan McCollough has that jack spot pretty much locked up, but trust me, he's going to get on the field a lot during third down situations. They're going to move him probably into inside linebacker as well, but he's going to be a true jack. So very excited to see how Willis McGahee can break out this year, and I'm excited to see how John Butler utilizes him because I think he's going to put a lot more jacks on the field, especially in these third down situations, just to get some guys who are very athletic who can get to the quarterback at a high level. So Willis McGahee, he's somebody who I would buy stock on because man, I'm really, really excited to see him play. And I think he's going to have just as big of a year as Shavers does. I really do. He's going to be somebody who's going to be our starting jack going into his true junior year, and he's going to be very, very hyped up. Then going into Buda Wright, who I would say is probably the 5th best linebacker on this team, which just tells you how deep this unit is. If 7th year senior Javin Wright, Buda is his nickname, if that's your 5th best linebacker on the roster, that tells you how good it is, right? He's 6'5", 240 pounds, one of the more athletically gifted linebackers we've seen in Nebraska in the past decade. He's pretty much been on this team for a decade. Now, this is somebody who only had 34 tackles last year for the Huskers, 1 pass defended, but it should be noted, he only played in 9 games, only started 1 because of his blood clot issue. That's been an issue his entire career. That's why he got a medical redshirt multiple times. So Javin Wright's somebody who, once again, just has that athletic upside, can play in the secondary, very, very speedy, very shifty. Not the best tackle in the world, but arguably the best in pass coverage, maybe besides Dasan McCollough. So there's another guy who's going to be on the field a lot in third down situations, really good in zone, really good in man coverage, can guard tight ends one-on-one. I really like Javin Wright's game, and I think he's going to get on the field a lot. So don't sleep on this guy. I always joke that nobody ever talks about him just because, people forget he's still on this roster, but he's still a very, very productive player. If he can figure out his blood clots, which again isn't his fault, it's a very unfortunate situation, which hopefully he play in all 12, 13 games here. I think this will be very productive. I'm excited to see what he can do. Now, those are the top 5 linebackers on this team. Now, after those 5, the depth kind of gets a little concerning, as you're about to see. So while the top 5, really, really good. Now we start having a little bit of question marks, and this is why it might not be one of the best linebacker cores in the Big Ten, but I do believe this could be one of the best positional groups on this team. Let's get into the depth. Now you have Dylan Rogers going into his 3rd year for the Big Red, former 4-star recruit coming out of Texas, 6'3", 240 pounds, just hasn't played throughout his career. Dylan Rogers is somebody who, from a, athleticism standpoint, doesn't really impress you. From a size standpoint, doesn't really impress you. Just somebody who hopefully can do all the right things, has a good IQ, but just has not really gotten the field at all through his Nebraska career. So hopefully that changes this year. I heard some good nuggets about him in spring ball, that he was finally, producing at a high level, finally tackling at a high level. He's been putting a lot of work in the weight room. So I'm hoping he can finally break out. It remains to be seen about Dylan Rogers, but I'm very bullish about him long term. Not really giving up on him just yet, but somebody who just, again, not going to impress you physically, but all we need him to be is a solid tackle. You put him in the game, and he's going to, bring down the running back at a high level, shoot through the A gap, B gap, be a smart player. He's not a liability. So that's what you get with Dylan Rogers, and we'll see if he gets on the field at all this year. Then a couple other guys here before we get to the true freshmen, which you guys know I'll give you the goods on them. You got Maverick Noonan, who's a fan favorite. Obviously, his dad used to play for Nebraska back in the day, going into his third year. 6'4", 240 pounds, coming out of Elkhorn South. Now, so this is somebody who I'm not very bullish on Maverick Noonan. I think he's okay. He has some athletic upside there, but he's just not his dad. He just isn't. He's had a lot of injuries throughout his career with Nebraska. He tore his ACL his true freshman year. I believe I can't remember what injury he had last year, but he's out for the majority last year as well. So Maverick Noonan's just somebody who, step one, stay healthy. That's the step one for every single football player. Step two, put on weight, and then step three, hopefully learn your film at a high level and then get on the field. But Maverick Noonan, I'd be shocked if we see him at all. Then you got Gage Stenger, who's coming out of Millard South, going into his fourth year for the Huskers, 6'2", 220 pounds. Somebody who, we're just kind of waiting on to break out. I thought Gage Stenger was honestly going to transfer after this offseason because he's probably not going to get on the field. Been a really solid special teams player throughout his career for the Huskers, but at some point when you're going into your fourth year, we need a little bit more than that. We need you to break out, to become a more reliable player actually on defense. So Gage Stenger is somebody who, you talk to the coaching staff, they mentioned multiple times in their press conferences that he's been playing good throughout spring practice. I'm at the point in his career, though, where I have to see it to believe it. I have to see it to believe it when it comes to Gage, but again, we'll see if he gets on the field at all. But I just know he's going to be a solid player on special teams, which is really all you need from a guy like him. So that's one of the reasons why the Husker staff really, really wanted him to come back. Then you got Jacob Bauer, who the coaching staff really hyped up. He honestly might just be the sixth best linebacker on this roster going into his third year. Former walk-on coming out of California. He was a former rugby player, so he's incredibly athletic. Nebraska, they felt like they had a steal on getting him coming out of high school. Again, 6'1", 220 pounds. Not the biggest or the fastest in the world, but just somebody who does everything right. Kind of similar to a Nick Heinrich back in the day for the Huskers. Kind of similar to a Luke Reimer, right? Just can get on the field because he's so technically sound. So I wouldn't be shocked if he gets on the field a lot this year. Now, there was hype that he might start in some personnel sets. Not Rule said that specifically. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Matt Rule's is hyping up his guy. But just know that Jacob Bauer, he will get on the field. He's not the most impressive player in the world. He's not super speedy, super fast. He's not going to make a huge play in pass coverage, but just somebody who does everything right, works very, very hard, and that's why the staff likes him. Now, am I buying the hype that he's going to start in some personnel packages? No. This linebacker core is too stacked for him to start, but he's going to play. So watch out for that name. And then the last guy we'll get to before we talk about the true freshman is Roger Gradney, going into his second year. He's a former big-time recruit coming out of Texas. I think just a lot of people forgot about this name. We were recruiting to play safety initially, but one of my things about Roger Gradney coming out of high school is I just didn't think he was athletically gifted enough to play safety at the next level. The coaching staff acknowledged that, so they moved him to middle linebacker. Somebody who, he went from being very unathletic at safety to being pretty athletic at linebacker. Again, he is fast for that position. He is shifty, but it's all about him putting on weight because he had a big season-ending injury last year towards ACL. I don't expect Roger Gradney to play at all this year, but hopefully he can put on weight. Continue to work on yourself in the pass coverage. He's not the best tackle in the world, so we'll see how his career progresses with Nebraska, but just not somebody I'd expect to play this year. Then let's talk true freshmen to the Big Red, because Nebraska, this is probably the best true freshman trio on this entire team. You got not one, not two, but 3 4-stars coming in. Let's get things started with arguably the best player Nebraska landed in last year's class. This is Dawson Merritt coming out of Kansas, 6'3", 220 pounds, one of the most athletically gifted edge rushers in America. And he's the son of Dave Merritt, who's currently the secondary coach for the Kansas City Chiefs. So, he's the coach's son. He's very, very smart. But Dawson Merritt, the thing around him is that I honestly expected him to play this year for Nebraska as a true freshman. before he got injured. He had a shoulder injury at the end of his high school season. He had surgery. He was out for all spring ball. So it remains to be seen whether Dawson Merritt's actually going to play this year for the Huskers. I could see maybe in the back half of the year, but we're at the point with Nebraska where I think they're going to honestly preserve his red shirt, only play him in 4 games. He needs to continue to put on weight. That's really the main thing around him. But from an athleticism standpoint, not really worried. From a leadership standpoint, not really worried. If he plays in 4 games, he's going to be just fine, and hopefully he's going to break out in a big way going into his red shirt freshman year in 2026. So not worried about Dawson Merritt. Obviously, kind of sucks. He's not going to get on the field a lot as a freshman like we initially anticipated, but it is what it is. That's just what happens. Hopefully, he'll be ready to go when his name is called this year, which again I do expect him to play, but just not in the role that we initially anticipated. And Christian Jones is somebody who really, really is a phenomenal player coming out of Omaha, Nebraska, #1 player in last year's class out of this state, 6'3", 225 pounds. Thing about Christian Jones, when you watch him on film, I mean, man, he just looks like a grown man. He's huge for his age. He's just speedy all over the field, great in pass coverage, had a pick 6 when I watched him in the state title game last year and the year before then. Honestly, really developed in the run department too. Solid tackler. Not necessarily a guy who's going to lay the boom on you, but just very, very solid. Has a lot of really good fundamentals. He played a lot of sports growing up, baseball, basketball. So very committed athlete, but just somebody who, this is a big recruiting win for Nebraska. They had to get him. They had to keep him in the state. They did just that. So Christian Jones, I love his upside. Now, I do not anticipate him playing at all this year for the Huskers. The reason why is my always concern around Christian Jones has been, it's not been his upside. It's just frankly been him learning Big Ten defense at a high level, reading the defenses, learning the film, committing himself from, again, Monday to Friday. If he does all that at a high level, he's going to be really, really good long term. But again, it's all about him continuing to develop himself as having a good football IQ rather than actually making plays on the football field. That's really the big thing around Christian Jones. And when I saw him in person in the spring game, that was really the main concern, was that, again, he's so athletically gifted, it pops out of you, but man, he's at the wrong position a lot. He's really not the smartest player in the world right now. And again, you can develop that over time, so not really too concerning. And then the last player Nebraska brought in, somebody who was a riser through the recruiting rankings since he committed to Nebraska. This is Pierce Mooberry. Man, I like his game. 6'4", 210 pounds, coming out of Miller North. Somebody who, once again, very athletically gifted. He played wide receiver and tight end as well for high school, so he has good ball skills. He's probably the best coverage linebacker out of the 3 that we just talked about. He played safety a lot throughout his high school career, so somebody who, honestly, I'm not really worried about him in pass coverage. He's kind of like a Buddha Wright a little bit. But man, not the best tackle in the world. He can lay the boom on you a little bit, but he's not somebody who has very good fundamentals. He doesn't shoot through the gap very well. Obviously, needs to continue to work on his IQ. And it should be noted around Pierce Mooberry that while I'm very bullish on him long term, I think he's going to be a big steal for the Huskers. We look back on this in 3 to 4 years and say, man, more schools should recruit him. He did get injured, I believe, going into spring ball for the Huskers, so he did not play at all as an early enrollee. So should be noted with Pierce Mooberry. Or I can't remember actually if he was an early enrollee. Somebody correct me in the comment section, but it doesn't matter. He is injured right now, so he's not going to play at all during his true freshman year. So, all right, guys. That is every single linebacker on Nebraska's roster going into 2025. Now, let's have an honest talk. How good is this unit really? Is it the best on this team for Nebraska? Honestly, I think it is. I really do. I think it is better than the wide receivers. I will give it a grade of an A. Now, there's a couple things I really like about it. I think it's a phenomenal in the run-stopping department. You have a lot of production all over the field, whether that's Marques, Trent, who's one of the best linebackers production-wise in the country. Dasan McCollough, who has that high upside. Vincent Shavers, who's great production-wise and has that high upside. You have great depth in Buddha Wright, who's great in pass coverage. You have a guy like Willis McGahee, who once again has that high upside with his dad. So it's not only really good in the run-stopping department, you have great coaches in Phil Simpson and Rob Dvorak who are going to bring the best of these guys, but I also am really bullish about it in the pass rush, which is something I haven't been able to say in a long time. Like last year, we couldn't get to the quarterback. MJ Sherman was not very good. Willis McGahee was still very raw. So this year, that changes. You have another year of Willis McGahee developing. You have Dasan McCollough, who's going to be a threat. You have Vincent Shavers, who can rush the passer a little bit at that weak side linebacker spot. You have Dawson Merritt, who might play in 4 games, but he can get to the quarterback when he does. I feel really good about it in pretty much every single aspect. And there's a lot of, high potential, some of these younger guys, whether it's a guy like Dawson Merritt, Pierce Mooberry, Christian Jones, maybe not this year, but long term. So I think it's a very good unit. I think Rob Dvorak's done a very good job so far throughout his career with Nebraska. This is one of the reasons why I'm very bullish about this defense, because I really feel like the linebacker and the secondary, I think they're going to surprise a lot of people. Now, the D-line is a question mark in and of itself, and you haven't watched that D-line positional preview, make sure to watch it. It'll be linked down below, but Listen, linebackers are really good. I give it a grade of an A. If it lived up to expectations, it could be an A+. If, we get some injury concerns, maybe Dasan McCollough doesn't break out in the way we want him, maybe Vincent Shavers doesn't take that step forward, could be maybe a B, but it really has a high floor and a high ceiling, which is exactly what you're looking for. So feel really good about this Nebraska linebacker core. I want to hear your thoughts down below. What are you thinking about it? I want to hear what you have to say in the comment section. Hey, if you made this far on the video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. I appreciate all of you. As always, folks, go be grad, go Matt Roll, and I'll see you in the next one.